Whenever people talk about Iran's strategy abroad, another question always follows. What about inside Iran? What about the protests? Are they cracks in the system? Are they signals of collapse? Is it the beginning of the end for the regime? Or something else entirely? The answer isn't hopeful or hopeless, it's structural. So here's the clarity that's going to give you the mindset or the mind frame for the protests. They matter deeply, but they are not currently existential to the regime. That doesn't mean they're meaningless, it just explains why the system can actually survive them. Now, I know from the outside, because this is my own thought process, the protests feel like momentum. You see crowds, they're chanting, they're in defiance, they feel like pressure building toward a breaking point. But regimes don't fall because people are angry. They fall when control mechanisms fail. And in Iran, those mechanisms are still intact. Iran is not a fragile state, so you can understand why Iran is built for this unrest. Iran is a security first system designed around survival. It has spent decades and decades preparing for sanctions, economic pressure, cultural resistance, youth led dissent, and external interference. The system doesn't aim to resolve grievances, it aims to contain them. So, this is how the regime actually views these protests. The regime doesn't ask, are people unhappy? What they're asking is, can this be controlled without losing authority? And as long as the security forces remain loyal, the elites remain aligned, revenue flows continue, and communication can be fragmented or divided, and we're seeing that now with the internet, the answer remains yes. That's not strength, that's just design. So once again, people act differently based on this reality here. Some people believe the protests must escalate to succeed. You force confrontation and you break the system. Others believe that endurance will eventually wear the regime down. You wait long enough and it collapses on its own. And then there's a quieter outcome that rarely gets discussed. One where the state survives, but society slowly disengages from it. That's the path that Iran is on. Now, external pressure doesn't weaken the regime internally. It actually does the opposite. It makes it stronger because it provides narrative cover. It justifies repression. It frames dissent as foreign influence. This doesn't erase protest energy, it just limits how far it can scale. So that's why protests lack a decisive lever, because successful revolutions require something to break. A military defection, an elite fracture, a sudden economic collapse, decisive external support. Right now, none of those conditions are present at scale. So the protests express pain, but not power. So here's the mental frame, the mindset that you need here. This is how this looks. The protests are transforming Iranian society, but not the Iranian state. And those are not the same thing. What's happening isn't revolution, it's erosion. It's a cultural drift, quiet noncompliance, a loss of belief in the system, or you can say a generational separation. The regime survives, but it governs a society that increasingly no longer believes in it. Now, externally, Iran absorbs pressure to preserve the system. Internally, it does the same thing. There's no decisive battle, no final confrontation, just control. So the likely outcome isn't going to be collapse or regime change. is something a lot slower. What it is a state that continues, but a society that moves underneath it. No climax, no resolution, just pressure that never fully releases.